So last week in episode 3, we had a conversation that honestly made a lot of doctors uncomfortable because we stopped talking about productivity, growth, and adding more staff and started talking about practice value, like actual value.
Not emotional value or what you think is your value.
Or hope and pray.
Not I've helped a lot of people.
Exactly, right? Well, that's what we do as vision therapy doctors, so it must be worth something.
And so what we mean is we actually looked at what the business is actually worth. And for a lot of vision therapy doctors, that's a really hard question.
Exactly, because one of the biggest realizations from last week was that just because you built a successful practice doesn't automatically mean you have an asset. Because if the entire practice depends on your brain, your explanations, your decision making, your presence in the room, what actually transfers someday?
Someday.
What transfers?
And I think that's where a lot of VT practices are right now. They're incredible clinically. They change lives.
That's what we do.
But structurally, they're personality practices.
And listen, there's nothing wrong with being excellent clinically. Obviously, that's why we're here.
That's not the problem.
Yeah. The problem is when all of the value disappears when you stop working. That's the tension. Last week, we talked about what buyers actually look for when they're looking to buy a practice. And one of the biggest things is transferability. Can the business actually continue producing value without everything depending on one person?
Because those buyers aren't actually buying your office space, your equipment, your schedules.
If we're being realistic, a lot of vision therapy equipment is pink.
Well loved.
Let go of the pink for after, please.
I don't understand. But what they actually should be buying is your systems, your consistency, the recurring revenue, the scalability, all your documented methodology.
And honestly, that's why platform revenue changes the conversation so dramatically, because now you actually have value that exists beyond your therapy room. It exists beyond your chair time, and you have a methodology that starts becoming an actual asset, not just something trapped inside your schedule and only your schedule because your patients only want to see you.
Only you.
And nobody else.
But that naturally leads to the next question, okay? If methodology is the value, how do you actually build something around it?
Because this is usually where doctors get stuck. They know, like, my care works. Mm-hmm. I'm really good at what I do. My therapists at this point, hopefully, are really good at what they do. We can take this esotropia. We can do this. We can do this. We can do all the things. And that's great. But then what?
And most doctors don't know. They don't know what to package. They don't know what not to package. They don't know how to structure it. They don't know how to explain it. They don't know how to get patients to actually follow through, because that's the part that nobody actually teaches.
Well, we've been trained for years that the only way to do it is to do it ourselves. Like, let me get my hands on that esotropia. And that's how I fix it. Yeah. And so now in our episode tonight, we're going to be talking about how to actually package it. And honestly, this is where the whole series kind of comes together.
Because over the last few weeks, we've been talking about the delivery problem, the extraction problem, the asset problem. So episode 4 tonight is finally the solution.
Yay! We're going to walk through what Vision Adventure actually does, what it looks like, how doctors extract their methodology, how programs actually get built, what role your therapists play, because this is not an idea to replace therapists. We need therapists. What the 90 days actually looks like, and how doctors are building platform-based assets starting from expertise they already have.
And honestly, I think one of the most important parts of this episode is going to be that therapist conversation, because we know that fear is real. What about my therapist? Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk openly about why this doesn't replace us vision therapists, how it actually protects our methodology, and why some of the best builds we've seen were created with the therapy team.
Like this one. At the end of the day, this entire series has really been one long argument. What happens in your therapy room is too valuable to stay there.
And it's not because in-office therapy doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But because there are still patients who are not getting access, who are sitting on wait lists, who are overwhelmed by logistics or going somewhere else simply because somebody else was available.
And if the future of vision therapy is going to survive and expand, we have to start building models that protect the methodology, the outcomes, and the accessibility to care. So, if this conversation resonates with you, join us tonight for our final episode,
Woo-hoo!
episode 4. The link to register is below, because the question isn't, does your care work?
It's what happens to it if it never leaves the room.
And tonight, we start building. So
Yes.
let's get building. See you then.